Hey guys, in this series we are going to be looking at how we can be sculpting an orc bust in ZBrush here. We're going to be using techniques which we discussed in a lot of our other videos here. It's just going to be like around an hour and a half where we just do real-time sculpting, just showing the entire process here. So we're starting off in ZBrush 2018 and we're using a custom interface here. This interface has been supplied to you in your files, and this bust here is also supplied. This is from our creature kit originally, but it's just a really handy bust here, which has generally correct proportions to get started, is positioned in a correct space, and is facing forward. Like if you were to start with a C-sphere or something, it might be upside down, twisted in crazy ways, and just generally a bit annoying to work with. So we have a good starting point here. And we can pretty much just get started with Dynamesh here using the clay buildup brush with Alpha 06. So this is just my preferred way of working. Feel free to use whatever brushes you want to. We're mostly just going to be sticking to Alpha 06 in this one, and clay buildup, and pretty much just Dynamesh. So let's just get started with this. We can just click Dynamesh here, and now we can just see that this is just turned into Dynamesh. So whenever I start sculpting with anything like this, we are... I'm just starting off blocking in the main volumes here, where just getting in some bony landmarks, getting in some main proportions, and just trying to resolve the anatomy here, just before we get really into anything else.
The nice thing about starting from a base mesh like this is that you get a lot of stuff for free.
Yeah, you really do.
One thing is starting from a sphere, which can also be nice. It's a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
But starting from a base mesh, you just have something to lay your proportions on top immediately.
Yeah.
It really takes a lot of the guesswork out of the sculpting process in the beginning.
For sure. With the way I'm doing ears, people kind of seem to forget to do ears. You see those like beautiful sculpts, and then there's something missing, and it's ears. So the way I like to do this is I prefer to just mask it out, invert the mask, and then just drag it out using like the move brush. This is going to be pretty brutal. This is going to look super nice because we just got to Dynamesh it, because you can see the topology here is getting crazy stretched now. So let's just clear the mask and just re-Dynamesh it now. Now you see it becomes nice and even. So let's just shape the ears a little bit here. So in terms of what we're actually sculpting, this is kind of like a bit of like a freestyle concept sculpting here. We don't really have a whole lot of reference here. This is not where we know exactly what we're going to be doing. It's going to be more like a design process. What we do know is that it's going to be some kind of Lord of the Rings style orc, which is quite different from like an orc from like the World of Warcraft series, which is more like it's more like a gorilla style. This is more humanoid. I'm also thinking that the orc here is maybe he's like of a lower rank. He's not like a general. He's like a foot soldier. So
he's got that northern British accent.
Yes.
I don't know why whenever they're lower ranked, they always have to have a British accent, and it always has to be that farmer's.
Yeah, exactly. You sound like a pirate.
Like you never get sort of like the low ranks in the evil armies to have like American accents.
No,
that never happens.
No.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys.
Exactly. Like, why is that?
Where
was that decision made? Like, okay, it needs to be that stereotypical British thing.
I don't know. So when working here, like it's a very standard workflow here. It's no smooth brush. You can use smooth brush if you want to. It's just sticking to clay buildup, blocking in the main shapes here. Like first, before getting in where the eye actually is, like the eyeball, we're just getting in the socket of it. Kind of try to sculpt around it where the eye would be, and then we can place the eyeball. Because it's like, where do you place the eye if it's just like this? Well, you don't know. Like, you should just start carving in an eyelid here. I kind of work from the inside out. I think that's just.
Yeah.
It's just a good way of doing it.
Like, it's sort of like a blueprint for your eyeballs.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just makes it a lot easier, really.
Because now we can just kind of like start to just work up here and just kind of see if we can get some eyeballs in here. So it's really important to have bony landmarks and then have areas which are softer as well. So our bony landmarks would be like this region here, pretty much the entire skull. We'd have it down here as well. We have the jaw. and we'd have this region as well. The rest would be fairly soft, like the ear would be fairly soft, obviously this entire sculpt part. So it's really important to differentiate between soft and hard tissue as well. And you have some areas which, like there's still a lot of bony stuff here, but there is more flesh going on. So just evaluate the silhouette a bit here. You can hit the V key. We just use the matte cap gray as well. If you're using a matte cap which has a bunch of speck to it, you might see too much speck in it for it to not be useful.
Yeah, really using this sort of pseudo silhouette mode is a great way to check your design. We use it quite a lot just because you don't get distracted by proportions and or like, you know, sort of detail on the inside. You can focus on your proportions.
Super important. Like it's like if your proportions aren't working, nothing else is really working. I also prefer to work in perspective mode, where this is without, this is with. It just looks more natural. It just looks more like the way it would actually look in real life.
Yeah.
A tip here regarding the ears is like if you want to look like it's super angry, you just make them really more spiky. And if you want to make it more docile, you can just put a bit of an angle to them. It's kind of like a dog, which is really aggressive. His ears will just be pointing straight upwards. I'm also just thinking about the main shapes here, like getting nice, clean shapes. Like you can see here, the zygomatic here, the cheekbone, has this nice curve to it. It's not like this, though you can do that as well. It's more just like getting big, strong shapes here.
Maybe he got punched a lot in the cheek.
Yeah, he might have. I mean, he's a lower ranking soldier from the north of UK. So.
That's true.
a lot of brawls up there in the pubs.
I just had a thought. I wonder what a orc dog would look like. Would it also speak British?
It would bark in a British accent.
But in one of those, like, the northern British accents.
Yes, of course. So you can see here that at this point, you know, it's just a few minutes into it, but no teeth or anything. This is like maybe the #1 issue I keep seeing people do.
Over detailing too quickly.
Oh yeah, that's it. Really just work your way up. You can go high poly. We're not talking here about low poly versus high poly. We're talking like detailing. Obviously, you can't get too many details in if you stick to low poly, but it's more that certain brushes, like the clay brushes, they work really well with high poly.
Yeah.
But then it's also tempted to add too much stuff to it.
Like my approach for this kind of stuff is always I exhaust the current subdivision level I'm at. Like. Yeah. Or, you know, whatever sort of Dynamesh level I'm at. And when I can't get any more detail out of that, then I start to subdivide.
I think that's a really good way
because
of doing it.
That's just like, you know, the whole too much power and responsibility and whatever. Seriously, it happens. Even if you're an experienced sculptor and you can just sit there and you can do whatever you want, eventually you'll find yourself, oh crap, I added too much detail already. Yeah. But by limiting yourself like this, you ensure that you get the most out of the current sort of subdivision level.
It's a really good point. I mean, we both seen this in production as well. You have some people who they just they just keep squeezing details out of it, and we're like, look, the foundation isn't working. You got to go back to it, and they just refuse to do it because details are cool.
Details are cool,
and they are important for sure. They're important, but most of the time, you'd probably see a creature more like this than you will see him like this.
Yeah.
So it's just more important that the details are working.
And it's an interesting point with the whole when you start adding detail when the foundation is sort of broken, because it's not obvious from the beginning. Like you look at it and you can see that something is missing.
Yeah.
And you just can't see what it is because there's just so many pores and scars or whatever on top. Once you take those away, it becomes really apparent that, the secondary forms are completely missing.
Yeah, exactly. So now we can just see we're just blocking in some of the nose here and a bit of the mouth here. Still very low poly. But, I mean, you could also do this in more high poly. Like, honestly, it just depends what you prefer to do. Sometimes I'm doing this in high poly, sometimes doing low poly. But the point is, you want clean shapes going around here. So we can also just take the Dynamesh resolution, which we find all the way in the bottom here, and we can just increase this a little bit here. And then just control drag. Now we can see we went from like 20,000 to like 200,000. So we just increased it by around 10 now. Because we do, of course, need more resolution at the end as well. Like this here isn't really gonna fly.
Yeah, like it's really hard to add, you know, lips and nostril stuff and stuff like that. You can have the general shape of the nose and the general shape of the mouth, but you know, it's just, I guess it's like, it's figuring out. I think that takes a long time to learn as well. It's like, okay, at what point do I start detailing?
Yes.
Like, when am I allowed to detail? I mean, obviously you decide because you're the one sculpting.
Yeah.
There's no one setting the rules for this.
There's no FlippedNormals police yet.
Oh, there should be though. Yeah. The FlippedNormals police. I feel like though there is a little bit. It's like, you know, you have people on the Discord and, you know, people posting stuff and you're like, oh, you should improve this and you can do this. I feel like that could be like the FlippedNormals police.
Yeah, it's a little FlippedNormals police. It's the good kind of police here.
It's like we have our own police state within the Discord.
Yeah. A very kind police state.
That's actually true.
So for anyone who do want to join the Discord as well, that you can find that on the hub.flippednormals.com. There's a link on the top there. It's just a nice little place where you can get proper feedback. You can also like message us directly there. I mean, feel free to message us on any social media as well. If you're doing sculpts like this, and you want to show us, you want to get feedback, the Discord is actually a really good place to get feedback.
And the best thing about it is it's free.
Yes.
Not like there's no Patreon you have to sign up for. Right?
No.
You can just join it and
none of that jazz.
Be equal with everyone else, except for us because we're the admins.
Yeah, we're pink.
All right, that's the only difference.
So now we're just getting in like some basic lips here. And when working with lips, I'm not necessarily thinking too much about the specific shape of the lip. I'm kind of thinking about the shape around the lip, which kind of sounds a bit counterintuitive. But if you get that right, the lips kind of fall into place. The same with the eyes as well here. We still haven't really touched the eyes here. I've been more focused about getting like the area around it to be right. Because if that is right, then stuff just falls into place here.
You can see the Henning is going around and not focusing on one area too much at a time. It's like jump from the nose, and you do the nasolabial fold, go down to the mouth, like the lips a little bit, and go up to the eyes. It just ensures that you don't take one part of your sculpt up to 100 before you've taken the other up to like 10.
Yeah, I think that's super important. Like it's more like it's kind of like a nerdy rendering metaphor here. It's kind of like a progressive render here versus like a bucket render. Like a bucket render would do like finish this area and finish this area, but then you're ending up with areas which, you know, they might not work at all, and maybe you're running out of time. And particularly if you're working, like our background is in film, and if you're working on that, then your supervisor is like, hey, can we see a version of this? And you're like, well, not of the foot.
You can see a version of the nose.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a really good metaphor because when you sort of do the progressive sculpting style, it allows you to see the whole picture. Not necessarily all the way detailed all the way, but it allows you to get a good overview of what the finished sculpt will actually look like.
Yeah. So we'll actually just save out some of this just under. Let's make a little folder for you guys. Ztools, just so you can have a couple different versions as we go along. Or one. So you can, if you want to follow along from this stage here, you can totally do that. At this point, you can just load this up and just start sculpting. Oh, you saw that? There's actually a bug in ZBrush here now. This is super annoying. So what happened now is pen pressure disappeared. The way to fix that is to Alt-Tab out and then Alt-Tab in again. You can see now it's fixed.
That's a great feature.
Yeah.
It's been there. It's been there for so long.
Yeah.
It's like the Wacom driver just disconnects or something when you save a Ztool.
So don't panic. Just Alt-Tab in and Alt-Tab out again. So you're probably going to see that while you're saving. Yeah, because I feel like this stage here, getting to like this point maybe a bit further, might be the hardest one. Because this is where you're laying down the foundation. A lot of it is like go crazy with some brushes, but I really think this is a hard one. Which is also, I can confirm, it's hard to talk and sculpt at the same time.
I just have to talk.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do it the other way around.
Yeah, then you'll feel my wrath.
Then you'll sit here and just be like, man, it's totally fine. It's so easy.
So it's also super important to just look at it from a distance as well. Because it's really easy to get caught up in like this region and just like start sculpting here. So I think the ears need a little bit more love now as well. So for the ears, I prefer to really make them nice and curved, like this. And then I also prefer to use a standard brush. Also, when working on really thin surfaces like this, you probably want to use backface mask. Backface mask you can find up here, or under brush, auto masking, and backface masking.
We should have like a pop-up, like pro tip.
Oh yeah, because people love those pop-ups.
Yeah. Click here, like you have to like subscribe to a newsletter.
Yeah,
to get this.
Yeah, this video is using cookies.
Oh, that'd be really annoying.
Yeah. So when it comes to the ear, I'm kind of like separating into a couple of different parts. So you have an area going all the way around here, and then you have the lobe here, and then you have this little guy here, and then you have like the shape going in here. So if you can get these right, you kind of have an ear. This pretty much what varies between like monkeys or humans or like orcs or what this might be is pretty much proportion. If you know how to do a human ear, you can do pretty much any ear. So I'm just focusing here now with the standard brush, and very few things I do use the standard brush for. I just like it because I get like really nice and clean lines here.
The standard brush is super underrated, I think.
Yeah.
It's because it's the standard brush, and everyone goes like, well, I just want to experiment with the real brushes.
Like insert train brushes.
Train brush. Oh god.
So now we're getting this shape in. So you just got to sculpt a lot of ears for this here. This kind of makes sense. I
still don't remember. Like all of these parts on the ear have names, like the trachea, the concha, like stuff like that. I don't remember it.
The helix.
Yeah, helix, the anti-helix. It's just like, but just learn the shape.
Yeah.
It's really not. I feel like it's not. I mean, you can totally learn the names if you want, and be like super badass. And like, here, the anti-helix goes this way, but I don't think it's necessary.
No, we were talking about this in some other videos about should you learn anatomical names, and I think it's useful to learn general anatomical names. It's like the metaphor I kind of like to use is I'm looking for a better one, but I think this works. It's kind of like street names. Like we live in London now, and I know the city pretty well now.
Also, not like your street name. But street name.
Yeah, we're not talking about Little Henning or
Little Henning.
Yeah, we're not talking about gangster names.
That's your street name.
Yeah. No, we're talking about like street names. Like London, I know London pretty well. If somebody is like, "Where is the street?" I'm like, I have no idea. But I know what the neighborhood is about, and I know like what you can find there. So it's kind of with anatomy as well. If somebody is like the sternocleidomastoid, this muscle here, you're like, yeah, you might know the name of it, but it's more important to know the function of it and the shape of it. I work with some of the most talented modelers ever, and they don't know any names, but man, they can sculpt like crazy.
Yeah, I feel like that's what I did in the beginning as well. Is like learning the names is a good way to pretend that you know anatomy.
Yes.
Because if you can like just spew out all the names, like, man, okay, that dude knows his shit.
Yeah.
Turns out, I didn't know my shit. No. I just knew the names.
Yeah.
And how useful is that if you can't actually sculpt?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like learn figure drawing, don't learn medicine. Even though, of course, learn medicine might help as well if you want to be a doctor and all that. But
I'm doubting most people watching this want to be a doctor.
Yeah,
I actually applied to medical school before all of this.
And now you're an artist.
And here I am.
What happened?
I quit my job to become a full-time teacher.
Yeah, could have been a doctor.
Yeah, could have been a doctor, but instead I get to,
get to talk to you guys.
Yeah, it's called monsters, and I feel like it's better that way.
Yeah. I have no regrets about going into art.
No.
So this ear, ears are tricky. They're just tricky things. It's kind of like a seashell, or like a whole body by itself, or it's like an abstract thing. It's obviously there is a lot of function to the ear, like how sound travel in here and avoiding bacterial infections and all that jazz. But it's not an apparent function to it. I can't look at it and be like, oh, of course this is shaped this way because of these reasons. While like looking at like the eye is shaped that so that you can open and close your eyes, which totally makes sense. But the ear,
you don't have an intuitive understanding of how the ear? No, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Useless human. So I'm just trying to get some extreme shapes here, because I know that I'm going to soften them up later on. So like getting this, it's a bit crazy, but like just getting like the shapes to be a bit extreme. Because what happens is this shape is like that, and you're going like, let's soften a bit up like that. And you're up with something softer. So I always try to just make them a bit more extreme.
That's one of the things that, oh god, you got hit in the face.
I think I might actually like that. I think I like something more like I actually have a reference here of like a chimp on our side here. I think I like something more like that. It's a bit more like gorilla, more orc-like. Whatever orc-like might be. I mean, who knows what an orc is?
It's like more vampire-y.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think orc is just like northerner English person just hidden in the face.
Exactly. We're gonna get so much hate for this.
Yeah, we're gonna get some angry letters.
Luckily, this isn't going on YouTube.
Yeah. Or maybe it is.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh boy. This exact section is going on YouTube, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy. Well, now you know what's in store.
Yeah.
It's like when you're in Twitch chat and people are there. They're like, "Oh, hello, YouTube from the future,
Yeah.
the past."
Yeah.
What were we talking about? Ears,
and noses, and British people being punched in the face. Yeah, they just got knocked out of the World Cup as well.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. We're recording this like 2 days afterwards. Yeah, sorry guys. It was like the single thing holding Britain together. And now they're out.
I remember seeing like people just throwing beer around. That was what I woke up to on Twitter at some point.
Yeah, there was so much hope in the country.
It's all gone.
And if you're from the future where we know what's going to happen with Brexit, I don't really know what to do with this information. You can't really email us because then we probably know as well. But
we've left the country.
Yeah, we probably left the country.
Or been kicked out.
Yeah, because we are foreigners after all.
That's true.
And that is the worst thing you can be in Britain today.
Oh yeah, that's because we've taken the job.
Yeah.
Actually, we've given the jobs back now.
Yeah, yeah, we have.
So we're like the best kind of foreigner.
Yeah, we are.
I feel like we should talk about the orc though.
Yeah, I mean, at some point though, you just got to block it in and just refine it. So we are now blocking in and refining it.
And that just gets so boring. You have those tutorials where it is just a commentary on what you're doing currently, and it doesn't help anyone.
No.
Like, so there I pressed S to bring up the menu for brush size.
I'm hitting the Alt key, and now I'm not hitting the Alt key. Yeah. Yeah, it's a tricky one, because there is some theory, like we talked about, like hard and soft areas, but now there is just a part where it's just labor. It's kind of like, there are kind of like stages. Right now, the primary foreigns are not blocked out. Like, we're still struggling with the eye here, there is nothing here yet. It's still just blocking everything in. And then you have everything is blocked in, then you subdivide it, and then it's taken up to the next level. So there are kind of like phases. This phase is still very much block in. So just getting the cyclomatic in here. We also have the best reference ever, which is a mirror.
Yeah, this is actually a self-portrait of him.
Thanks.
Well, I mean, you've never appeared on video, so who knows?
That's true.
And, your profile picture could be made up. It could be another person.
Could be you.
Could be me. Yeah, could be me. Guess we'll never figure it out.
Because there is no way we can ever appear in video. Okay, let's do some eyes here. So eyes are tricky, just because, not necessarily because the shape itself is so tricky, though it is a bit hard, but it's just because you gotta just treat it with so much love and care. If the eyes are not gonna be working, I mean, game over. Like, nothing else is gonna be working at this point.
It's interesting as humans, right? We're so trained to look at stuff and recognize faces, expressions, and things. That's why we have Jesus toast. And so eyes is something that we look at a lot.
Yeah.
When we talk to a person, I actually look at the mouth when I talk to people, which I guess it actually freaks out a lot of people apparently. But I don't know. That's just where I look. Most people, I guess, look at the eyes.
Yeah.
And so you get exposed to eyes all the time. So if there's just something that's a little off, it's just, you probably can't explain why, but you just go, this looks weird.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you gotta just spend time on that. And when it comes to eyes as well, you just gotta observe eyes. You really gotta observe eyes.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's true for everything. Like, we have like 5 reference pictures on it right now. This is on the second monitor. Some of it is from like actually Lord of the Rings orc. One is of a chimp. And then there is some general pieces of reference which might help you. I'd say get as much reference as you need, which is probably more than you think.
Yeah.
When I've been doing like a serious sculpt, I have references of every single part. I have the nose, the mouth, of all different parts here. Now I'm also going in with a damn standard here and just making the upper eyelid really thick here. Because the eyelid is thicker than you think. It's way thicker than you think. Unless you think it's really thick.
Yeah, then it's probably not that thick.
No, then it's probably not thick. But you probably don't think it's that thick.
No, because you actually do see that a lot. is people making super thin eyelids. And I think it's because people sort of, they look at the eyelid where it sort of meets the eyeball, right? And that specific part of the eyelid is not very thick.
No,
it has the same thickness all the way around, but there's a lot of there's a lot of skin. I think there's some fat now that's about the eye, so there's a lot of skin just covering it there. And you can get very different feelings or feels to your sculpt depending on how you make your eyelids. Yeah. Some people have those very high raised eyelids, so like the top lid is very tall, and some people have more like where the skin droops down on the eyelid, so you don't really see the top eyelid a lot. Yeah. And all those things really affect what your
some people have like this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like you have multiple layers here. You have the general eyelid, and then you have like the one above it here. And this here could be like this, or it could really be like this, drooping down like crazy. Nice.
You get that a lot with old people. Yeah. Because
you do.
The muscles just get tired. Yeah. As you get older, you've been using your muscles for a long time, especially the muscles in your face. Yeah. As that's what you use to emote with, and you talk, you make facial expressions all the time, so they get worn out.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. I actually kind of like this approach, like just masking off and then just like dragging it over, because it just means you're just separating the forms out. Like when you're sculpting like this, it's not like I have a set of techniques which I always use. This is kind of like, I guess this will work right now.
Yeah.
So it just means now we just get a bit more drooping over it here, because these are always separate shapes. They might be merged quite finely together or like look kind of similar, but they are separate shapes here. The eyelid. Everyone has an eyelid like this.
It's different for Asian people, though. Like
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
The double lid thing is something that is it.
The epicanthic fold, I think it's called. This
here. Like it can exist.
Yeah.
And it does sometimes in like small amounts. It's there. But it's that's why you have that distinct sort of Asian eye. Yeah. But also like with the Asian eye, it's. Kind of sounds like a James Bond film. Asian eye. The socket is actually pushed out a lot further. I don't know if it's the sockets that pushed out or if the nose is pushed. I think it's the sockets that's closer to the nose. So you actually have it's very distinct for sort of an Asian eye.
We talked about this in one of our free videos, and we got some comments being like. About like differences in terms of race and ethnicities and that kind of stuff, but it's like, look, there are differences.
Yeah, there's very clear differences.
Clearly, there are differences between. You're not just talking like skin color. You're talking skeletal
like
structure.
Structural differences.
Yeah, and we're not talking better or worse. We're just talking differences. There are clear differences between them.
I was doing this was some years ago now. I was doing a it was a face of an Asian female face. East Asian, I guess, because like just saying Asian, that
could be from like Iraq.
Yeah, but I think most people know what I'm talking about when I say Asian. And I was very surprised by the position of the eyes, actually, where they sit in in the skull, and the same thing with the lid, sort of having this smooth transition almost from the brow down to the lid. I read there was a lot of sort of. Maybe that was in Korea, that they do it a lot. So this double eyelid surgery, where they try to emphasize that on them.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah, especially getting cut in the eyes. But it's interesting with the droopy eyes there. We in my family we have sort of that droopiness a little bit. And my mom...
Like Morten looks like this.
Yes, that's a 1-to-1. There you go. I'm actually the reference for this. So my mom is in her 50s now, I think, and she...
You think?
Thereabouts. And she just... A couple of years ago, I think, she had this eyelid surgery where they actually removed part of the skin up there, but they did it right in the fold between the brow and the lid. They just sort of like cut in there,
like this.
In between there, so like right where the lid meets the brow, like this. Yes, exactly. And because that's the placement of the cut. There's no scar. You don't really see it. And they essentially just went in and removed a bunch of skin there because it was starting to impede her sight because it was starting to droop down. So you get that a lot in older people.
Yeah.
And some people are just more inclined to have it than others.
Not saying you're old if you're 50. You're perfectly fine. Just saying you might need surgery.
You're like half a century old. That's, I don't know. I feel like
I'm trying to give him the confidence, Morten.
All right. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying to give her.
After we just destroyed British people, and yeah,
they should have thought about that before they
lost.
Before they lost the game. Also, one super important thing when it comes to the eye is we need to add an eyeball here, which is a sphere, and then we can do this. So this is the gizmo. This is a bit hard to use for some people,
like me.
Like Morten,
because I'm old.
Morten's so old. So if you're not really sure how the gizmo works, you can just click this button here or click the Y key and get back the old style transpose lines. But I find it fairly intuitive for this specific thing here, which is moving stuff around. The middle one scales it down. These guys here, they move it up. So you can just click the Shift key just to snap it here, and then again use the middle one. Just move into place here. And getting a little quiet now, because now we gotta concentrate.
Well, technically, it's only you that needs to concentrate. I'm just like a moral support concentrating with you.
And then we have this little guy here, mirror and weld. So you can see this is why I put her on the left side of the model, because it always mirrors from the left side to the right side. If you put her on the right side and you do this, you're gonna be like, whoa, there isn't anything here. Because now it's looking at the left side and it's trying to move it over to the right side.
Stupid ZBrush.
Yeah, stupid ZBrush. So if you were to move it, if you were to model it here, you can just click this button, mirror, and then mirror and weld. Because this might, if you're not using a base mesh, maybe you're using a sphere or something, and there's a big chance you might have actually been sculpting it on the other side here.
Yeah.
So you might actually been sculpting on the back instead of front. So just move these guys now a bit into place.
The nice thing about having an eyeball is that you can actually start placing the eye, like the lids, because it's really hard to get the shape of your lids correct.
It's like if we're doing like, it just look like this,
yeah,
like that. Now you're like, oh man.
Oh, it's all gone.
The eyeball is a ball.
Yeah,
it's kind of in there.
So it's a good, whether you sculpt in the eyeball or use a sphere. Sphere is a lot easier because it's just round. I really recommend getting that in early on. Yeah. Just as it helps you get the right shape of the eye.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're not eyeballing it.
Oh, that's terrible. Such a good motivational speaker. One thing as well you have to get in, which I really recommend, which is a huge common mistake, is like the tear duct here, the caruncula. I mean, it's rough here. You can see it's super rough, but it just getting it in here now, it means that you can gauge the position of the eye a bit better now. Yeah,
an interesting point there is that, so the corner of the eye, so you have the outside corner of the eye, sort of that meets the eyeball.
Yeah.
The inside corner of the eye doesn't. What allows the eyeball to sit in your eye? Like if you took away the caruncula, the shape of the eye, it wouldn't actually fit. Like the eye wouldn't fit in the eye. It would
be like this.
Exactly.
It would be like this. You're missing a huge chunk of it.
Yes, exactly. So you get this weird looking eye. Whereas when you get the caruncula in there, that really helps the eye sort of settle properly. Yeah. So, and I think that's something that people tend to overlook a lot.
Yeah. Something you also do as well, if you're doing like a more realistic style character, or rather a more final character, we're not going to do it here, is actually adding like a wet line here, like a meniscus. Yeah. You're actually adding like a piece of geometry between these two, which acts as a wet line.
That's super boring to add.
Yeah, it's super boring. Also with the eyes here as well, I'm kind of thinking there's a few different levels here. You have like the general eyeball here, or the general eyelid, and then you have like this sac underneath here. This is something everyone has. I mean, regardless of your age or what, you still have it. If you're younger, it's gonna be subtle. If you're older, it's gonna be less subtle.
Yeah.
So, just getting this up here now, defining this a bit now, and then just getting like some wrinkles going from here. I kind of think of wrinkles as kind of like fanning out from this. So they're not just like parallel things happening here. They're kind of like fanning out from here.
Yeah, you got to think about, so like whenever there's wrinkling happening, there's a reason why wrinkling is happening. Wrinkles always appear perpendicular to the action of the muscle. So here in the eye,
so it's going like this.
Exactly.
It's going like this.
The eye muscle, the orbicularis oculi or something like that.
That's the one.
Is one of the few sort of, what are they called? The round muscle. Like a sphincter muscle.
Yeah, it's just like a round circular muscle.
Yeah. And those, because the fibers will run around the eye, you would have a 90-degree angle like perpendicular to that, where they fan out. So that's why you get this sort of wrinkling going out like that.
It's just a compression happening. Really.
Yeah.
So now the eye is starting to get there. We have an eyeball. We have actual eyelids here. And let's talk about this guy here. What on earth is this, Morten?
Oh my god, we mentioned that earlier.
What is that? So this is what has the fancy name of nasolabial fold. It's just like the fold around the mouth here.
Yeah.
This is super important. This is like kind of like you see this on everyone. Some people have a super prominent one, like Bruce Willis. You see like a super clear line here. Some have like almost invisible one. Like if you're sculpting like a small child or a feminine woman, though they can still have it as well. It's more advisable to make this super soft.
Yeah.
Like,
it's actually interesting
like
when you see people doing portraits of Bruce Willis. Everyone will always focus on the nasolabial fold.
You just do this, and you have Bruce Willis.
But they tend to miss some other stuff sometimes. Yeah. But it's true. It's actually very true.
Yeah. This one is pretty much always there. It's there. It's there. If you're going to sculpt like any kind of humanoid creature, you got to get this guy.
And the older you get, the more the weight there's going to be. The droopier you're sort of going to be.
Yeah, exactly. We also have like the muscles between, like here, the cheekbones are, and then we have you have a bunch of muscles connected from here to like the skin here. It's kind of what allows you to like smile and stuff. So most of the time, this is just like one clean shape like this. You really wouldn't see the individual muscles. You see that in ZBrush sculpts and in really old people or in extreme poses, like
or in corpses.
Or in corpses.
Yeah.
So. But since this is a ZBrush sculpt, you can add a little bit of definition here.
Freedom.
Just because it kind of just adds some variation to it. But if you're doing like a realistic human, I highly recommend not really adding these muscles.
Yeah.
What I would recommend is adding this like strong shape here, the real nasolabial fold shape here. You kind of usually have like two shapes like this, and then you have like this shape here. And there really isn't a whole lot of stuff going between here from like a pure surface anatomy point of view. So we're almost at a point now where we can start subdividing this guy a bit more.
Oh, finally.
Yeah. it's getting a bit boring when you're just at this stage here.
Blue balling.
Yeah.
Just want to hit that subdivide button.
Exactly. But it's also like, don't rush it.
Yeah.
Like now we're around like a bit more half an hour into the video. If it takes you like 2 days to get this level, don't worry about it. Like we've been sculpting for like 13 years now. I think this is my 13th year sculpting.
Damn.
It's like you just get faster at this kind of stuff, and a lot of stuff becomes more automatic. So if this takes time, don't worry about it. This is not like to pat my own back or anything. It's just that a little bit to do that. But it's mostly just it takes time to learn good sculpting technique. Take the time. Get to this level here in the time it takes. You're not like, oh, I need to do this in half an hour. If this takes you a week, what matters is get the foundations right. If the foundations aren't right, I mean, nothing is going to work.
Yeah, I mean, I had a guy that messaged me recently. Nothing bad about him. It's just he was asking. He had purchased a course that was advertised as for someone who was a beginner, and I think it was a drawing course. And after buying it and after reading up on it, it actually said that you need sort of like fundamentals in order to attend the course, which I guess is kind of misleading.
Yeah.
If it's targeted at beginners. Yeah. So he was asking, is it possible to starts in a week, and I have a week if I do 10 hours a day, can I learn these fundamentals? And it's like, no. I mean, you can technically learn what the fundamentals are about.
Yes.
Even though I don't really know what the fundamentals are about, because fundamentals are it's the building blocks for everything, and it's something that you build up over years and years and years. Yeah. Learning them, it's kind of like back to the anatomy thing. You can learn the names you could probably learn the names of every single muscle in the body in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, probably.
You have some flashcards, you really rep out, and then you go ham on that. Yeah. Probably. What do you have, like 600 muscles? But, still, surface anatomy, bones, that kind of stuff. You could probably do that in a few weeks.
I think you can realistically do that, yeah.
But
if you go ham on it.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that you know how to draw them or you know how to sculpt them. You just know what they're called. Yeah. You probably won't even know the connection of the function of the muscle, but you know what they're called. Yeah. And it's the same principle here, that knowing something, gaining the knowledge of something in a really short time doesn't make you an expert. No. Like, you just have to repeat it over and over and over again. Make more drawings, make more sculpts, do another sculpt, improve your sculpt, Figure out what what's your biggest weakness when you're sculpting. Let's say it's faces. Well, then do more faces. Or most likely hands and feet are your biggest weakness. Then do some studies of only hands and feet to really improve it. So it's not like I think it's just the whole impatience. And I mean, we've been there as well. It's I just wanna learn how to do this thing.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works. It's just, unfortunately, it's just a lot of repetition, and it's just it's part of the fun. I think just grinding it out, doing it over and over again, and you're seeing small improvements every time. Like, oh, okay, this time my eyes feel a lot better, or I really nailed the mouth this time. And I think, just arming yourself with a little bit of patience when you're doing this is your best friend.
We've actually been talking about this, I think, like about learning techniques here, what you're talking about grinding. So we had a conversation like a few days ago now about learning languages. Morten is learning Japanese and I'm learning Chinese now. Turns out that's pretty hard. Who knew? And one of the things we're talking about is it's kind of like playing Pokemon.
Yeah.
In order to like level up or like beat the gyms, you just gotta go and catch Pidgeys and get your ass handed to you.
You're just grinding in that Pidgey grass.
Yes, exactly.
For hours.
And then you can go to the gym leader. But in order to make a portfolio with like hero creatures and whatnot, you just gotta be grinding. You just gotta go and catch those Pidgeys.
You can't go straight to hero creatures when you know nothing.
No, exactly.
Like you don't even know where to start.
No. And then once you have been grinding a lot and you have just been like doing tons of figure drawing sculpts, tons of anatomy sculpts, and you really understand it, and then you get to the gym or the job interview, whatever it might be, then you're just smashing it.
Yeah.
Then your fundamentals are so strong that you can beat the entire like Pokemon League / job thing with a Rattata. Not really sure we're taking this metaphor here, but
yeah, but it's kind of like I heard an interesting one with learning languages. It's sort of like you don't learn a language, you just get used to it. Like you never learn it, you just get used to it. And it's the same thing with sculpting. And it's like the grinding parts when you're sculpting aren't necessarily fun.
No.
I mean, yeah, the first time you do a hand, you're like, oh, okay, this is interesting. The 20th time you do a hand to try to improve it, where you're actually grinding. Man. You just want to end it. Yeah. It's not fun anymore, but it's part of the process. I
was sitting down just a few weeks ago. We were doing a tutorial, and I was like, oh shit, I gotta just brush up on the fundamentals. So I was sitting for a whole Friday evening, just reading up on the forearm anatomy. Yeah. And that was super useful, because it turns out...
Did you have fun?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was actually kind of fun. I mean, it's also frustrating, because it's a forearm, and everything about the forearm is frustrating beyond all reason. But it's also
a very complicated thing.
Yeah, but what was fun about it is it's kind of like you achieve a lot of like pleasure, and not to get too philosophical here, but you get a lot of pleasure in life from doing hard things. And if you can, like, not that I mastered the forearm, but like I understood a lot better. Yeah. I'm like, oh man, this is how this muscle here attaches. The extensor digitorum attaches there and attaches to all the fingers and all that kind of stuff. By like getting a better knowledge of it, it's not like you're at a theme park and you're just getting a crazy thrill here, but I personally get a lot of thrill just from learning stuff.
Yeah.
So let's experiment with some proportions in this chap here now. So stuff is starting to work now. It looks like I've been punched a bit in the nose here, but let's just try out some different things here. And when doing that, I'm just pulling the mouth up, I'm pulling the nose down, trying out a couple of different things here. Maybe I actually like it a bit further down. I would say try to not be too conservative. This is something I've been struggling with personally. I've been like, oh, move it there. Oh, that's good. No, like, take it all the way down. Nice.
Yeah.
Is there something there where you can actually use for something? I actually kind of like something like that. It's a bit too far. But I kind of like something like that. I still like that he has a bit of like a flat face. Almost like he has been punched a little bit here.
He's seen a lot of battle.
He has seen a lot of battle, which means more than that. You know what's coming, right?
Oh, God damn.
Is there maybe a battle scar coming?
Every time.
I mean, it's an orc.
Yeah, but maybe it's a clean orc.
Oh, maybe it is. Maybe he doesn't have any battle scar. Maybe he's like a rookie.
Maybe he's the orc that gets milk. What?
Oh yeah, he's like a runner orc.
He's a runner. Why would an orc get milk? I don't know. He goes into the stables. He like milks the cow. It's like, oh, I brought you milk, son.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like now.
Yeah,
there is something to it as well. Like
R.
Yeah, R. It's like if he's like the bad orc, or he's like the biggest thug out there, we might make his like jaw super thick and like make his like skull thick and make his eyes a bit smaller and make him more like evil. But if you want him to be like a kinder orc, you know, we'll make him a bit more fragile. Let's do that. Let's make him a bit kinder. You soften stuff up. Maybe we'll take the ears here and like push them down a little bit here. Instead of making all the shape super aggressive, we'll just soften it a bit up. This is something Morten and I have been talking a lot about in our videos, which is kind of about like shape language. And we had a design teacher called Lawrence, who would talk about this. He would talk about the sit test, and it's how does it feel to sit on this shape? If you have a shape which is like this, super sharp, you don't want to sit on that. It's uncomfortable. But you have like a nice round solid shape. How does it feel to sit on that or touch it? It just feels more comfortable. And that's not to say that comfortable is better. It just means that that's what this character will read like. Yeah. So if you do want really nasty, gnarly character, you make everything sharp. You go crazy with trim dynamic brush. If you want to make him feel like more timid, bit softer, you know, you make all the curves here just a bit softer. It's also hard to sculpt when it's 30 degrees outside in the London heat.
Yeah, thank God for global warming.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's a myth or something, right?
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I was about to say something about the Earth and curvature.
Like it being flat.
What? I would never say that. Because that's retarded.
Yeah, so Morten believes the Earth is flat.
Oh, don't say that. Oh, that's going to be horrible. Oh no. Because if it's in a video, it has to be true. Right?
Yeah, it has to be true. So let's make him a bit more, not so thick here. He's pretty thick now in his neck here. This is actually a good example where I can use myself as reference to make him less thick.
Damn.
I just burnt myself.
Gave it all away there.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they do like this, and it's like this.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, actually. Like,
orc
he just
bro.
is the biggest orc bro ever, with like a Chinese character as a tattoo, which means hope. So there's a lot of character you can do in the posing, and how thick the neck is, how big the muscles are. We can just normalize them a little bit here now. And like I said, I really can't stress how important this stage of the process is. Skip this and nothing else matters, like Metallica once sang.
I'm sure they did. I don't really know any Metallica songs.
You haven't heard Nothing Else Matters?
Oh, I've heard that one.
That's one everyone who plays guitar has to play.
It's the standard guitar song. Yeah.
I'm also just trying to add some weight to the skin here. This is something I feel just a bunch of people are missing when they're sculpting. Like, skin has weight to it. It really has a lot of weight. Particularly as you get older. If you're like an infant, you're not really going to see that.
No, then you're probably just fat.
Yeah. All fat and blubber.
Most kids are. They're just like, if you look at a child, I had to do one for film once, and it was weird because they're just round.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, if you find a naked baby, like, just come across it, oh, it's a naked baby. But like, if you try to Google baby,
careful with that though.
In diaper or something. Let's go with that. Look at the arms, look at the legs.
Yeah.
It is comical.
Yeah.
Like it looks like the Michelin Man.
Yeah.
Like, it is actually weird.
It's like some bone stuff once in a while, like have a little like a tick, little accent.
Yeah, maybe.
And then it's all just fat.
Yeah, the whole like how one of the things I struggled the most with was how the hand attaches to the arm, just because there's so much fat. And the neck, the way the neck and the head attaches, it's beyond weird. Like, if you were to try to sculpt that from how you think it looks, you couldn't be more wrong. It's so bizarre. That's probably also why you have like all the ugly Renaissance babies. Yeah. Because like you have like, I think you have a Tumblr blog about that, where you're just looking at, I don't think any of the people who painted them or sculpted them have ever seen a baby in real life. So they're just like, a baby is just a small man. It legit looks like adult people, just tiny. Yeah. At least they didn't give him beards.
Yeah. You're like, excuse me, does this baby have a beard or not?
Can a baby be born with a beard? Some baby somewhere must have been born with a beard. Right? I mean, you have.
I'm not sure, Morten.
But I mean, you have a man who once gave birth to a child.
What?
It was like a dude in India. He gave birth to his twin or something. Nice. He was dead inside of him. It was like this weird symbiotic relationship. But he was still growing inside of him. So there must be a baby with a beard born somewhere.
Yeah, the most manly baby ever.
Yeah.
He was punching terrorists by age 2. Alright, let's save this guy as well now. So you can have a... Yeah, so like I said, just feel free to pick up this sculpt here now. And just start sculpting. Turn him into a baby.
Turn him into a baby.
With beards. I also feel like if you want to make something feel younger, you can just put the eyes more in the center. Mm-hmm. So if you want to, so you can just do like, nice, like that. I don't want to do that. I want to put them actually a bit more on top here. Maybe make the skull a bit. What do I actually want?
That's a good question.
Maybe back to where it was here. Because like this here is mostly just like the concept sculpting process. If we had a sculpt of, or like if we'd already done this sculpt here and were to redo it, that would be twice as fast. There wouldn't really be a lot of experimentation with it. So that's kind of like the challenge here. It's kind of like figuring out what do we really want here. Because that is just the concept sculpting process. So if I was doing this for production, I'd probably take this a bit further, or like concept art for it, take this a bit further, and then I would like just start from scratch or do a whole different version of it. Just have different iterations. Because then if you're doing concept art for it, it's more important that you have like maybe 5-6 different versions and you have one which is perfectly rendered. So very flat here. Make this here a bit thicker. So I just want to refine this here a little bit now. Down here, and then we'll subdivide, Morten. We'll subdivide.
Finally.
Yes.
That's all I've been wanting this whole time.
Yeah.
Even though I advised everyone to not do that.
Yeah. Yeah, going against your own interests.
Yeah. It's the power and responsibility thing.
Yeah.
Like Uncle Ben said.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Rest Uncle Ben. You always know in movies when they're talking about some like kind of deep moral lesson.
They're gonna die.
They're gonna die. There was one where I was watching, I can't remember what it was, and they were talking about they hadn't seen their dad in so long, and they were really looking forward to being reunited with family. Next episode, boom, dead. You just know that's gonna happen.
Yeah. Classic.
Alright, time to dynamesh this a little. So now you can just see that we stretch the topology like crazy around here, and then just dynamesh. You can just keep dynameshing as you're going along. But I actually prefer to subdivide it. Instead of just, I take it up to this level here, and now I just want to actually subdivide it. So the danger of subdividing it is that you can't really add new features to it. Like if you want to add like a crazy horn or something, which we're not going to do for a change, then you can't really add that. But at this level, pretty happy with the general proportions. Stuff is kind of where they're going to be. What we're going to be doing now is pretty much disabling dynamesh, subdividing, taking it up to a higher level, then disabling symmetry, and just making something which is a bit cool. So subdivide twice, and then we're up to around 3 million now.
And there is, so I know this question comes up a lot. How much should I subdivide? What's the magical number of polygons for my model? And there is none.
Yeah, we don't know.
I remember when I was first starting out, people would say like, oh yeah, you should probably aim for like maybe 5 million polys. But that was because you couldn't really have more in ZBrush or it would just die. Yeah. There is no set amount of points that you should aim for.
No.
It depends on your model. It depends on the complexity and depends on what you want. Like here, it's not so much that it's now at 3.2 million. No. It's the fact that we subdivided twice on top of what had already been dynameshed. Yeah. And that's roughly what we know we'll need in terms of resolution. Yeah, because right now I don't need more resolution. This allows me to get really nice strokes here and all the control I need and really get in here to refine the stuff I need. But I'm not going to add pores or anything to this. This here is for me right now, this is a perfect resolution. Yeah, also it depends, like if this is a full body, then suddenly 3 million is a lot less. Yeah. But suddenly the head here would only be like a few 100,000 at most.
So I think it's also really important at some point to break the symmetry, because otherwise we're not doing that yet, because I want to take it up to a higher level first. But breaking symmetry I think is super important.
Yeah.
Even if it's just stuff like making one eye go to a slightly different side here, or what it might be.
You would be surprised how asymmetrical people are.
Oh, it's crazy.
Even so, you know, when we worked in VFX, we obviously have access to scan data and stuff of actors, and you know, we'd be doing digidoubles of actors, and so you look at their faces for a while. You do like one actor, and like, this is what you do for the next 2 months.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Even the people where you go like, man, they've got that perfect symmetrical face. And turns out they don't. It's actually, I mean, people are very asymmetrical.
Yeah,
obviously, the same features exist on, you know, left and right on these actors, but the position,
we're not talking different eyes or anything.
No, the position of it, and oftentimes like the sort of lopsidedness of the faces becomes very apparent in a scan.
Yeah.
You'll have the jaw sort of sits differently on one side. One of the eyes might be up higher or lower on the other side. Yeah. So these things really add realism to what you're doing.
If you have perfect symmetry, there is something off about it. Like, nothing in nature is perfectly symmetrical. Maybe there are some exceptions, but no creature or animal or anything organic would be that. Just because it's just not how stuff works.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing this, you can see I'm preferring to sculpt across the form. I'm not sculpting this way. I do that when I'm blocking it out. Then I'm like, yay. But right now I'm really preferring to sculpt across the shapes here. For me, that just reads far more natural.
It also helps to make the form sort of, what do you say? It's just nicer to look at.
Yeah.
It's a very hard, especially when you're at this level of subdivision, going straight across the form gives you really hard edges. Yeah, you could go in with no alpha, or you could go in with the standard brush and try to build it up like that. But going across the form, just, I don't know, I feel like you have more control when you're building up the shapes there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is also where you just kind of concentrate a little bit. I also feel this stage here might be the stage I hate the most in the entire sculpting, because now we just went from a fairly nice low-res mesh to a really bland and completely unrefined mesh, which is like 3 million polys.
Yeah.
So,
but it's the same thing with the low-res mesh. You know, it looks like poop for a while, then it becomes good, and you're like, okay, I'm not a failure.
Yeah.
And then you subdivide, oh, I'm a failure now again. And then you sculpt, oh, it's all good again.
Yeah. This is something we have been talking about in our videos as well a fair bit, about like the whole like insecurity of an artist. Because, man, when you're at like this stage here, or maybe like the model just doesn't work out, and you're like, man, I'm such a failure. That is a hard thing, and you genuinely think that you're just a fraud who don't know anything.
Happens every sculpt.
Yeah, happens every sculpt. Like this is not just us, I hope. This is also like a bunch of like super high level professionals.
Yeah.
Some of the best sculptors I know are the most insecure. So,
unlike us, who aren't super professionals.
Yes, of course, in all manner, with no insecurity whatsoever about any of our sculpting.
No, it's a very common thing, and not just in our field. I think it happens in every field.
Yeah.
You know, especially people get out of university, they get a job, they have that whole like, oh, when will they find out that I'm actually terrible at what I do? And then you realize, oh, you're actually not terrible.
Yeah, and everyone feels that way as well.
Yeah.
If you don't feel that terrible, you should check your ego.
Yes.
I work with some people who feel they're really good, and they're usually not very good.
That's usually what happens.
Yeah.
You know, we work with a person.
Yeah. Yeah, we worked with a few. I worked with a few actually who's been like that.
Yeah.
And they're really hard to work with.
Because like when you have that level of ego where you're convinced, like you've convinced yourself that you are good, or like you're good enough, or you're the best, whatever it is. It's really hard to work with a person like that, especially when it comes to feedback, because oftentimes they just won't listen.
Yeah.
They're like, no, I know better. And it's like, well, you know, we're here to help each other. You know, we're in a production, everyone is pulling their weight. No, I know how to do this thing. It just makes it really hard to work with people like that.
I can't stress how important that is. Like, I feel a lot of people in production, particularly if you're doing characters, like that was what Morten and I were doing. We're doing like these kind of characters daily, and it was they're really cool things to work on. So some people get like, they're like, oh, now it's my time to shine here. I need to get prestige from it. But in reality, it's just teamwork.
Yeah.
Like, everyone benefits from everyone working on a team here. There were some who really were like, they were like tribal almost. They got their people and they were just working within that little tribe. But it's a team effort.
Yeah.
This kind of stuff is really a team effort. And if you treat it as a solo venture, I mean, you're talking about movies where you have 400 VFX artists on it, who's all pulling their weight. Yeah. You think the final thing for the movie is going to be the ZBrush screen grab? I mean, there are so many steps after you. You are a cog, and it's an important cog, and it's a really cool thing to do. But you just got to be humble about these things.
Yeah.
And like Morten was saying, it's a process as well. Like you will never learn. You will never be like, yeah, I know sculpting now.
Oh, there's always more to learn.
There's always more to learn.
Yeah, and I think the issue with people like that is that when someone does come with an idea, or someone does indeed have a better way of doing it that's faster, more efficient, or it looks better, or whatever, they sort of feel that, oh, now you're undermining them. And like, oh, okay, because you're doing this better than I can, then you think you're better, and that makes me look bad. No, it just makes us all look good. Yeah. Like, that's as simple as that. You don't look bad just because someone else knew how to do something better than you.
You look bad if you don't accept feedback and you start treating them like dirt.
Yeah.
You look really good if you can come up with new techniques which improves the life of everyone.
Yeah.
So like we were saying before, like you just got to move across the entire model. You cannot get stuck in one area, because then you have like areas which are completely done and areas which are terrible.
Absolute garbage. Just horrible.
Yeah. Okay, let's save this as well. Just want you guys to have a few different versions.
Just enjoy the pure ASMR sounds of
the tablet.
The tablet.
With the nib hitting.
We'll do a video on that.
Yeah.
FlippedNormals ASMR. Welcome tablet drawing.
Yeah. I also really like kind of like the brushstroke feeling you get here. We'll remove this in the end, at least if you're working in a full production. You shouldn't have brushstrokes, but you still get like this nice variation here. You get like the planes playing up with each other.
Yeah, sometimes you can sort of take advantage of the brushstrokes and see, oh, okay, here's a nice detail that was created by the brushstrokes. Like, let me introduce that into the final sculpt. But no, like having actual brushstrokes in the final model, that's a no-go.
Yeah, you can't do that. We had a supervisor once who really liked brushstrokes. We would just kind of introduce brushstrokes into the concept sculpt because he was like, this looks more real. Of course, you had to remove everything at the end of it, so that was annoying. It's weird when you have this game of pleasing supervisors and you're like, you can never really win that game.
Yeah, that's annoying because sometimes you just have to make something to please them, and then once you do your actual model, you undo what you did there.
Yeah.
And then by that point, they're so into the production that they've forgotten. I think that's an interesting thing about, like, one thing I've noticed about supervisors, especially in the beginning of a project, right? The tasks that you're doing, especially like with Henning and I, we're early on in the production, maybe we're doing concepting or maybe doing initial models or something. They are obsessed with our thing because that is one of the only things they have that's going on right now.
Yeah.
So they'll critique the heel. You know, be like, okay, let's spend 2 weeks just on the heel. Okay, this is all we'll be doing, just the heel. And you're like, this is a waste of time. We need to do the entire thing. No, just the heel. I really want to get this right. And then after a few weeks, when they actually start to get more and more tasks, they have to look at lighting, they have to look at more assets. You're like, okay, I'll just remove everything I just did, and they don't even notice.
You just kind of work under behind the scenes and not tell anyone.
Yeah.
And then you show it to them, and they're like, yeah, this is really good. Cool. Thanks.
So what did you change? What you told me to. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I can totally tell.
Yeah.
Sure you can.
Yeah, cool.
I've had that where I haven't changed what they told me to change because it didn't make any sense. And afterwards, like, oh yeah, it's a lot better now. Yeah, I agree.
It's a lot better. It's also hard when you have people who they don't come from a character artist background or a sculpting background, where they might seem like there is an apparent issue in the model, but it's actually a different thing. Like we done some like fundamentals videos where we're talking about improving your sculpture, and it seems like the model looks good, but unless you actually know sculpture to a fairly decent level, you aren't actually going to be able to pick up on the fundamental issues, which are there.
Yeah, this is back to the detailing we were talking about in the beginning. You know, your eye just isn't trained to that specific thing to see what is it that's wrong with the model. You might be able to see something's wrong, and you go, we need more detail.
Yeah.
I was like, this is literally the opposite of what we need. You know,
and to kill the detail and go back to it. We had to do this for a recent project where there was a couple of models we just had to go kill the detail, remove it altogether. We're doing this in Mari instead of in ZBrush, and you just got to simplify the forms a bit.
Yeah.
So now I just want to evaluate the shapes here, because it's easy to get lost in it. I think I want to refine the forehead a little bit here. You can do this on the highest subdivision level as well. You can also go down to a couple of different levels and just try a couple of different things out, like that. And just experimenting with different things. Because you can always change it. Even though, like we said, we're still working with subdivision, you can still change proportions drastically. The only thing I wouldn't do, I wouldn't reintroduce something like I was talking about. I wouldn't add a horn to him right now. No. Though you could, just not in this part of the video.
It would be a tiny horn.
Yeah, a tiny little horn, like a tick.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I want to refine this area here a little bit more now. Just looking at the chimp reference here. And then we'll start breaking symmetry pretty soon. Just get this here really fattened up. Now he looks a bit more angry. Okay, up in subdivision levels. And now you can actually see that we had the brush strokes from before. And that's actually kind of cool. So in this case, we don't want them, so we'll just remove them here. But it's really cool that if you do have details up there, that like let's say you have sculpted some pores and some fine wrinkles, you can do lower level changes.
Yes, this happens if you go from your higher subdivision level, you erase detail on your lower subdivision level, and you go back up to the highest one. Which can be, most of the time I think it's annoying, because you want to get rid of your detail there. But I guess it's like a kind of like a little hack that you can take advantage of.
Yeah. All right, I'll save this now, and this will be the last version before killing symmetry. Now let's kill symmetry a little bit here. Dun.
Exciting.
So this here is always going to be a contour sculpt. It's still going to have brush strokes and all that, but now we're just going to kill it. For symmetry as well, I've also remapped it from X to Shift X, and I've also added a button here because it's so annoying when you start to you realize that symmetry has been off for a while, and hitting the X key is very close to the Alt key. So you might just accidentally hit it.
You hit the Alt key all the time. I would really recommend doing this, as it is. Sometimes you lose hours of work because maybe you're sculpting on one side of the face, or like you're doing behind the ears, neck thing, and you can't actually see the other side. Yeah. And then you check everything and you realize, oh shoot, oh boy, what have I done? And in some cases you can just mirror over the details, but sometimes you're just in a position where it's not possible. Yeah.
I find that most of the time, like if you're in a production, it's even if you can mirror it over, it's a real pain in the ass to do it.
Yeah.
So now you can see I'm just broken up the symmetry a little bit. I've messed up the nose a little here, just a little bit of the eye and just a little bit of the ear here. Already has character to it. Yeah. So we're just going to be doing this now. We're just going to like properly screw him up. So this is why I have a mirror, because now I can just make nice little expressions.
So he can make his face like Henning's.
Yes. Thanks, man.
1-to-1. 1-to-1. Yeah, sorry. If you don't have Henning's reference for face, which is his face, you can't do this.
Sorry, guys. Damn, I'm being roasted here. But I've got to concentrate on sculpts. I can't roast back.
We should do like a face reveal video. Even though you can totally find our faces online.
Yeah, it's not very hard.
But where we track this on top of your face, perfectly integrated. Like, oh my god, he does actually look like an orc.
Yeah. I'm actually like a lower command lieutenant of Sauron's army. I'm 64 years old.
But you have a very distinct and not a northern British accent.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, maybe you're hiding it.
Yeah. Yeah,
hiding it behind your Norwegianness.
I gotta work on that.
Oh, is that a scar? Oh god.
No.
It just kind of looks like a scar.
No, it's not a scar. It's cracked lips. Because he has shut up. Because he has been out in the cold too long.
Is it cracked lips because he was hit by I don't know, a sword or something?
It might have been cracked by a sword. Oh no. I kind of like doing like scars where you're sculpting over it. You're not just like carving down here.
Yeah.
But like, because that's like a fresh scar, or like it might be like if you have a scar like this, you're still gonna have like a crease down here. But if the scar is healed, it's just gonna go across it. And the cool thing about like sculpting across it now, it kind of looks like stitches.
Yeah, the nice thing about scars, or I guess that's the annoying thing
the
about
nice
scars,
thing about being cut
is that, the body is has developed to close it as fast as possible, not to make it as nice as possible.
No.
So what it does, it just tries to pull together the skin, and then it just builds skin on top.
Yeah.
Because that way, that's, you have the wound, your blood, and then skin and stuff. I don't actually know what happens.
No.
But that's sort of like, and then you have skin built on top. So that's why you have that very distinct scar feel to it. I think some animals, I think the animals that can regrow limbs and stuff.
Like iguanas or like the smaller ones there?
Yeah, I think it's not as apparent or something.
Okay.
Because I think they heal better, maybe. I don't know.
Martin is a man of approximate knowledge.
Approximate knowledge of many things. Yeah, I think there's also something about like in our genes there is the blueprint for regrowing stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like other animals, but it's not something that we needed. Like
that would be awesome.
It would be awesome, right?
Yeah.
But we were more when we were sort of cave humans. It's more important for us as hunters to be able to, because we're not prey, we've been hunters.
Yeah.
So it's more important for us to be able to heal our wounds so we don't get infected, so we can start hunting again. Whereas with like a lizard, whatever they're called.
Yeah. The salamanders.
Yeah, that's a prey, right? Yeah. And they need to be able to distract a foe by dropping a tail, and then they can go somewhere in the sun, lie for a bit, and then regrow it. I mean, I don't know how long it takes, but it probably takes longer to grow out an entire tail than to close a scar on your arm.
I think it might be around 5 seconds. You were just here to go.
I remember finding out the hard way with lizards when I was a kid. We were in Italy. And I caught this one little lizard in a net. I was like, super proud. And I came back to show my parents, and I hadn't looked at it, but I grabbed it in the I was like maybe 7 or 8 years old. I grabbed it by the tail, and then I ran back. And then, in the meantime, it had dropped its tail.
Oh no.
So I came back, and I just had the tail with me. I was so sad.
Yeah, Mom, I caught a lizard's tail.
off.
Oh no.
But it's magical, right? Like, how do you
do that?
Imagine if we had the ability. What if you do it by accident? You wake up in the middle of the night, like, oh, God damn it, my arm fell off.
Yeah. Now I'm also curious, if you could do that, and you regrew your legs, and you had perfect nutrition, would you now become taller?
But only in one leg?
Yeah, one leg.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Ah, damn it.
Probably not.
I really enjoy adding asymmetry in this, going back to the sculpt that we're talking about.
Speaking of the sculpt.
Yeah. Adding symmetry is so much fun, also because that's when you're really getting character to it. And one thing I also enjoy doing is kind of like this kind of stuff. It's like going in and just carving in something here. Like he's looking down now. And I do this with asymmetry on. And this is super ghetto. This is this is not a nice... This is not production friendly. This is just kind of like getting something in there.
Yeah.
Just so you have something to relate to. Because now he's looking down and you're like, oh man.
It actually kind of reminds me of if Smeagol was an orc. Or what's it? Gollum. That's the one. Yeah, if Gollum was an orc. It kind of feels like
I like that you respected Smeagol. Like, Smeagol is his true identity.
It is.
That's what he identifies as.
No Hayden.
Yeah. It's incredible how much this here can add to it.
Yeah.
If you take one big thing away from this tutorial, hopefully you take more. Like Morton's salamander.
I think that's the most important.
Yeah. The second most important is asymmetry. Really break this up. It can add so much character to it. like I was looking at for in prep for this video, I was looking at the orcs from original Lord of the Rings movies, and just looking purely at the designs and the sculpts, they're not like the masks there in terms of design, in terms of sculpture, they're not actually that crazy good. But what makes them look real, I think, is they're moving. They have lots of asymmetry in them, and if you were to scan them, I don't think they would look crazy good. But because they're made of like not real skin, but something similar, so you get like the real shading for it. They're really well painted.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be kind of creepy if they were real skin.
Yeah.
So they took the faces of dead people.
Yeah.
And really get that real feel in there.
But it's just kind of interesting how you can get so much more life into a character just by breaking the symmetry up. One thing I also do as well, which let's do that here, is just moving the torso, like rotating the torso a little bit. So normally if you have subdivision levels from a lower level, you can just mask it off and blur it. Here we don't really have that, so we have to just be a bit clever with how we're masking. So
super soft masking.
Yes. So something like this, and now I will use the transpose line.
Because who knows how to use the other one?
Who knows how to use the other one?
I definitely don't.
And then we just put this in the center, and now we can just rotate this a little bit. So let's see, how do we want to rotate this? It's just like, it's kind of like, the opposite way. Like if the eye is looking one way, I just want to rotate this like the opposite way of this. So you just get a bit of character right away. I think I might have to move this a little bit in there now. And rotate a little bit.
Now he's kind of like that meme where the dude looks back at the hot chick. Yeah,
that's the one. FlippedNormals, full of memes.
That should be the product image for this product.
One thing I want to do now is really just breaking this up here. Like, I'm looking angry in the mirror. I think you have to make some kind of like sound as well. Can you really sculpt without doing sound effects?
It makes it more real.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, you can feel the sound in the sculpt. Do you have any interesting evolutionary facts that you want to share?
Yes.
Okay.
This is not related to this. No, actually, kind of. If you're doing a predator, you want your eyes to be forward, because then you have like I think it might be called binocular vision. Or if you're doing like a prey, you want to put them to the side. If you look at a horse, no, not a horse, a little bit of horse, a cow, their eyes are to the sides. If the eye was here, if you were to sculpt the eye in here, super nice, then he will be able to see everything like around them, which is super useful if you are prey, because then you're going to see when the predators come.
Yeah.
But if you're a predator, you need depth vision. You need like proper depth vision. And if you have your eyes out here, your two eyes aren't actually two eyes aren't actually looking at the same thing, so you can't have depth vision. So if you want to do a predator, you got to move your eyes forward. If you're gonna do prey, you got to move them to the side. That is a fun little evolutionary fact.
So that was a good fact.
Yeah,
I think that was a little more useful than mine that is maybe true about us and lizards. Like I don't know if it's true. I just think it's true.
Yeah. Do you have any cool evolutionary facts?
Like actual evolutionary facts?
Yeah, like actual facts and not just approximate knowledge.
Oh, let me get out the evolutionary memory bank here.
Oh, I have one.
Okay.
If you we had actually a talk when we were DNIG, what's it called? Dr. Sumada?
Sumeda?
Yeah.
Sumeda.
Absolutely fantastic teacher. So we were
talking about dinosaurs.
Yeah, he was talking about dinosaurs and big creatures.
Oh yeah.
And it's like kind of like heart rates for different things. Like if you're a big animal, you're gonna have a really like a slow heart rate, and if you're a small one like a mouse, you're gonna have a really quick heart rate. And also with your metabolism as well. Like if an elephant would have a metabolism and a heart rate of a mouse, he would catch on fire
and explode.
And the opposite, he would just die.
Yeah.
So there's a huge difference between big and small animals.
That's what we talked about. We had a talk about. I don't think I told you. When I was back in Denmark, there was a cat that fell out of the window from a second story.
Shit.
but it was fine. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So me and my sister were just walking. This has nothing to do with evolution, by the way. And all of a sudden, right in front of us, we just see a cat, and it's just like, so it fell out of the window from the second story, turned around in midair, and somehow landed. I mean, it was scared, ran away. I think it was fine.
Might also been a bit in pain as well.
Yeah, probably. But that's crazy.
Yeah.
But back to the evolutionary effect there. If you drop a mouse out of a window, that was the whole point of it. It would survive from like the 5, 6, 8 story building. It doesn't matter. You can drop a mouse and it would still be fine because of the weight. Yeah. If you drop an elephant 2 meters or 3 meters above the ground, it just goes everywhere.
It goes sploosh. And
there's no more elephant.
No more elephant. So don't do that. Don't drop elephants from a few meters. Like if you were gonna do that.
If you were so inclined, don't.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. Wasn't it something that they tried to do? Was he talking about something that they tried to do that?
Tried to drop an elephant?
Yeah? Or is this something I'm making up again?
You might have made it up again.
Yeah, okay.
They were trying to electrocute an elephant. I think they did that successfully. That was the whole Tesla-Edison debate.
Yeah.
Where they were going to show how, I think it was direct current, how dangerous that was. So they were like, you can't use that in a house. Look, it's going to kill an elephant. Yeah, of course it's going to kill an elephant, you idiot.
So I would take the facts that Henning give you, probably true. The facts that I give you, probably double check them. Because I'm not sure myself.
It's also kind of another fact, illusion fact. Because now we're getting into like doodle territory here.
Okay.
Whereas, so it's kind of like, we're just going to talk about something now. It's kind of like if you're looking at a shark. If you've got a shark is bright on one side and dark on one side.
That's so smart.
It's super cool. So now I was always wondering, why is it bright on one side and why is it bright on the bottom? And I was struggling to figure out why it's like that. But I think if you're looking from a shark from above, it needs to look dark above, because then the ocean is dark. So you're just seeing the ocean. But if you're looking from below, the sky is bright. So it needs to look bright. So there is this kind of like natural camouflage. Nature is not going to do something just because it's cool. It's going to do something because that species had a distinct chance of survival.
And sharks did it pretty well.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
I wish we could regrow our teeth like sharks.
Speaking of, okay. I was wondering what this one came from. This is a general statement.
Yeah, related to sharks.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah, but I don't think they can regrow. I think it's more that they are.
Oh, they have to.
Yeah, it
just continually happens.
Yeah. I worked on Pirates of the Caribbean where I did sharks there, and I read up on everything about sharks, and they have like 2,000-3,000 teeth within their lifetime, and they continuously regrowing them. That's why they always have like their what's it called, the gums are constantly like bleeding or looks like it's been cut out, because it's constantly growing out from them.
So we don't want that. That's what you're saying.
I mean, I'm saying it might be practical if you're a shark, but
but not if you're a person.
Your chances of dating might go down a little bit.
I wonder if some people have that. Like with the beard and the baby. Oh, crazy fact. Okay, so
is this a real fact?
this is a real thing.
Okay.
A friend of mine, he's from Lithuania. That has nothing to do with this, so I don't know why I said that. He has this rare genetic disease.
Oh yeah.
Where his body is constantly in flexion. Like he's constantly flexing. Every muscle in his body is constantly flexing. And you can have this to severe degrees, like where you're completely like disabled.
Yeah.
But
man.
He is just one lucky guy. He has never set foot in the gym and he is ripped as a motherfucker. It's crazy. Like he has the perfect body and he doesn't have to go to the gym.
Oh no.
It's crazy, yeah.
But that is, so there are no downsides to it for him?
Not a single downside.
Oh man!
Because it's not his muscles in the face are fine. It's just the body that's doing it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he has a terrible lifestyle, so he'd probably die at 30. But at least he's ripped.
That's kind of besides the point there, then.
Yeah, I don't know if that has anything to do with evolution, but okay, I do have an evolutionary fact.
Oh, cool.
I was looking at the eyes. So I was talking to my friend the other day, and he's a chemical engineer, so he knows science. I guess
the general concept of science.
Just what do you do? Science.
Yes.
And we were talking about color blindness, and he was telling me that there's an evolutionary benefit to color blindness.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, what is that? And he said contrast. As colorblind, he was telling me that you're better able to distinguish contrast. So it's the same thing with animals, like lions and stuff with the colors. I don't think they see colors that well, but they see black and white a lot better. So it's easier for them to distinguish. Like if you have antelope, kind of the same color as the grass they're walking in.
Yeah.
But the contrast is different because of the shadows and stuff. Yeah. So it's easier for them to pick out what's prey and what's a bush. So the same thing with colorblind people. I don't know why people would have it. Don't let them pick berries, though, because they wouldn't be able to distinguish the colors of the berries.
Don't let colorblind people pick berries. Got it.
Yeah, in a forest with poison berries and stuff.
Oh, right. Yeah, like that. Got it.
No, just in general.
Yeah, from the supermarket.
So, I mean, he's usually pretty on point, but...
And he is a scientist.
And he's a scientist. But look it up anyway, because I haven't looked it up, I just took his word for it.
So the most important thing here is don't let your colorblind friends pick berries.
Yeah, but they're really good on the savannah.
Yeah, so it's almost like if you were in like a forager society, you would have like... You would use a colorblind person as like as a predator detector.
Yeah, it was like a spotter or something.
But the problem is, in that point, nobody would know that they were colorblind, because I guess they wouldn't really talk about color, and they probably wouldn't even have words for color.
Oh
man, this became philosophical now.
Yeah. Oh well, I guess maybe that's why they died off.
Yeah.
I wonder how many, like, what's the percentage of colorblind people?
I think it's like a few percent of
really?
Of the male population. And it's mostly guys. There are some women as well who have it.
But there's also women that have the opposite, where they have an extra cone, so they can see. They perceive colors differently.
Yeah.
That's like a crazy superpower.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But it must be lonely as well, because you can never tell anyone. It's like speaking a language only you understand.
Yeah. I guess they still see. They would still understand what red is, because they see red and then they see other stuff moving in there. I don't know. Maybe it's just like cool. I don't know.
Yeah. So you can just see now like how different he is just after killing the symmetry here.
Yeah. Is there any evolutionary benefits to him being the way he is?
No.
No, he's just a poor northerner.
Yeah. I mean, the ears, like maybe they were
really good at hearing.
Yeah, he's really good at hearing. And maybe they would be living in areas where you would mislead. Yeah, maybe caves or in dark environments. But yeah, then maybe he would actually have, if you were to really go crazy with the whole evolutionary thing, maybe he would either have smaller eyes if he's living in darkness, because evolution is like, nah, let's not spend energy on this.
Yeah.
Or they would be super big, so that you could really get as much out of the light as you could. So, yeah, if you were to really make this guy like perfect for evolution, maybe or if he lives in a dark environment, make his nose bigger, so better smell. Even though I guess you don't actually need a big nose for that. But and then make his ears bigger. And then make his eyes maybe bigger or smaller.
Is this true about dogs? That the way they smell is like because their nose is wet, so they smell with the nose, or does it have to go in the nose? I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, don't know.
I think I have these weird facts that I'm not sure of are true or not. Like,
yeah, just half truths.
Yeah.
Yeah, also when it comes to sculpting this, I'm kind of like, let's use this angle here as like maybe a presentation angle or something. So let's not care too much about this. Like the back still has to work to a certain degree, even though this is crazy now. Let's fix that. Let's make everything work to a certain degree, but then let's not worry too much about when it comes to details.
Yeah. Yeah, also, especially for a concept sculpt like this, you want to present it in the best way possible. Yeah. And there's no reason spending an hour doing the back of the neck if you're not presenting that part.
No, that is very much an afterthought. So, just as a final thing, finalizing up now, like we've been sculpting pretty much with one brush for the entire duration.
Yeah.
We've done a little bit of standard, a little bit of damp standard, a little bit of some move brush as well. But what you can also do now is we can disable the alpha, because there's a lot of texture in it now. And you can just kind of go over to smooth out the texture a little bit. So like that's just like, you want details maybe where you want people to see. So maybe you want more texture around these regions, maybe around here. Maybe we don't necessarily want too much texture here. This is kind of like going over with the smooth brush, but instead of actually smoothing it, we'll just refine it as well. I really like using this approach here, because you just get a bit more like you just get a bit more form to it while you're softening the shapes up here now. But the thing with this kind of sculpt as well, this is something we could literally be doing for weeks. And I mean, we have. We've been doing this for like months in the past, similar sculpts like this. Years.
Decades. Eons.
Yeah, we started similar sculpt back in 1982.
How does it go? Like, you have a year, a decade, and you probably have a century.
A millennia.
A millennia. And then, what comes after a millennia?
A 10,000 year period. Don't know.
Many years.
And then an eon is just like all the time. An unspecified amount of a long time.
Isn't there also like... Googleplex, that's just a big number.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing to do with time.
Yeah.
Damn it. Yeah. There's another fact for you. Googleplex.
Yeah. That is a big number.
Is it like a million?
Oh yeah, it's like a crazy thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Man, this turned into the weirdest video.
Yeah, you guys are learning a lot of different things here now.
That has nothing to do with sculpting.
Yeah.
Maybe the sort of half-truths about some of the evolutionary stuff, that could be important.
Yeah, and the real truth about evolutionary stuff could also be important.
It's like 50-50.
Yeah. See, it's all a deliberate thing here, because now you have to go out and find the facts for yourself. You gotta learn critical thinking, guys.
Yeah, you don't believe everything you hear on the internet.
No. Unless it's sculpting techniques.
Oh yeah, because then they're 100% true.
Yeah. I really feel this like whole going over smoothing just makes it feel a lot more natural. Because you really don't want too many brush strokes to it. You can have it if you're going for a clay sculpt. One area I usually do go for brush strokes is the end. I just kind of go down here and just make some nice little clay strokes. Like with this one. Just go like, yeah. Just like roughing it up here. I was asked, I was doing a demo at a school some months ago. And they were asking, how do you get these super nice brush strokes at the end? Do you use a special brush? Nah. We just kind of fake it. I think it's just kind of nice, like a little break up here.
Looks like a sculpture that was destroyed.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we're pretty much done with this sculpt now. We're not really going to take it too much further. Let's save it up here now, so you can now check out the progression here. We should also actually save out with history as well here.
Yeah.
So that you can actually go back here. So this would be here, and this would be history. So now you can actually go back into history here as well. So you can just
we're not
see
even
that.
at 10,000.
Ah.
We're not even close to 10,000.
Yeah. So you can just go back in this now and just really reverse engineer all the choices. Because I know the sculpting looks pretty fast here. Like, whenever we're looking at our own sculpt, it kind of looks a bit time-lapsed.
We promise it's real time.
Yeah.
We just put like shitty sound effects of a tablet and a pen in there
exactly.
to make it sound real.
But just to sum it up, though. So what's really important is before you get in and doing all this kind of crazy stuff and breaking symmetry and all that, you want to get the foundation right. You don't want to get the hard areas. You want to get these regions here right. Like where we have the bony landmarks, you want to get all these right here. You want to get the big shapes like the ear, getting all this down perfectly. Fine. Don't worry about too much about speed at this point. Really, speed is a very secondary thing.
And don't get caught up in detail early on.
Really just get focus on clean shapes. No details, like I said. And take it in methodical steps forward. Evaluate the silhouette, look at reference as you go along as well. I can't stress how important it is to look at reference. Like we were talking about in one video.
You're not a badass if you don't use reference.
No.
No one cares.
There was somebody who was commenting that I was trying to make a photorealistic grape and I realized I hadn't looked at a grape. Like you've got to look at a real world reference.
Yeah.
Nobody cares if you didn't. There is no honor there. And then just go over it. Find your sculpting tools which works for you. For me, clay buildup with Alpha 06 works really well. I know Morten likes to use this just without any alpha.
Yeah. Works
really well too. Once your general sculpt is up and running, subdivide it. Get a few million polys up and running. And then sculpt that. It's going to look a bit nasty when you're actually subdividing. Don't worry about it. It's going to be better. Really get into the shapes. Remember the fundamentals. Then break symmetry. Really just break symmetry deliberately. At least when it comes to sculpting. For production modeling, don't break symmetry.
Yeah, shouldn't break symmetry.
Yeah.
Well, at some point you might be able to. But.
Yeah, you can break it in texturing. You can give it some nice colors.
Yeah.
So yeah, we really hope this video here has been useful for you. Feel free to share your results on all our social media. You can just find us by searching for FlippedNormals on all of them.
Yeah. And join us on Discord. We're on there. We're active most of the time, and it's a good place to actually share your progress, especially if you're following along with this tutorial.
Yeah. So cool stuff, guys.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the support, and we'll catch you later.
Thank you.